So Krista and I are actually urban planning students, so we started to look at what surrounds the actual roadway. And we found a case study in Vespucio Highway in Santiago, Chile, and it can accommodate 77,000 vehicles per day. Now looking at this case study, we pointed out that there isn't a really defined edge around the roundabout, and we feel like that is very important to have an edge, to have surrounding buildings that can be viewed from the roadway, because this roadway is accommodating a lot of traffic, so it needs a sharp edge. We also met with Ms. Atkinson, and we also conducted site analysis. And so we looked at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of our case study site, which is from McMillan up to Taft and right along Interstate 71. And so this diagram here depicts some of the ideas, and they're color coordinated on the side. One of the major strengths is also a threat. So having Interstate 71 right in the center of our site is a strength if you're looking at regional connections, which I apologize if I didn't pronounce well. But we have the hospitals. You see Walnut Hills right here, and here's our roundabout, and then downtown. Look how it's smack dab in the middle. That is a huge asset. But being along the interstate also poses a threat because of the noise, the traffic congestion. So we had to be very sensible when we looked at this in our design. A question is how to navigate the roundabout. Part of what I gave you is an informational piece that would be something along the lines of that would be given to the residents around it who will be primarily using it, showing how to navigate through it. And that's what this diagram is in here. It's also in the brochure. And there's also some other positives and negatives, which feed into our three aspects of sustainability. When we're looking at the roundabout, it proposes economic strengths, environmental strengths, and beneficial strengths. Obviously, you don't have to pay for the electricity to run signaled intersection lights, and you also reduce emissions because cars are not rounding or stopping at the stoplights. They're continuously flowing. We're also in a great economic opportunity because with reduced speeds along the roadway, so let's say 20 miles per hour, you have a great opportunity to allure those on the roundabout into the surrounding neighborhoods, especially Walnut Hills. So that long stretch of roadway is very important to draw people in. So that feeds back into the edge, and we'll talk about that in our design. Another main concern is pedestrian and bicyclists. What happens to them? It was sort of an enigma when looking at this because there are several different ways, and honestly I wasn't happy with any of the ways, except my favorite alternative would be to reconnect Crown Street.
Can you pull that a little bit closer to us? Brian's got it. Can you see Gavin? I'll make sure that everybody can see.
Our main option is to reconnect Crown Street with a typical pedestrian bridge right across. Crown Street essentially bisects the roundabout. Another opportunity I looked at is what about raising the center of the roundabout? This is somewhat radical, I understand. But raise the elevation of the roundabout enough to support office space underneath it. So you can have office, that's depicted in this diagram. You go into the office, and then it also has windows that overlook the roadway and that look into Walnut Hills and the surrounding businesses. Obviously, that's the most expensive. And then the third one, I think, is the most dangerous. As a pedestrian, I would not want to navigate through this, but I thought about it. It's just simply extending the deck of the bridge out for a pedestrian, a large sidewalk. Yet you have more points of conflict with cars deciding when to yield and go into the roundabout. So I just feel that that's too hectic. So I think the best alternative is to bring the pedestrians and bicyclists off McMillan and Taft, divert them to Crown Street, and cross simply right in the middle.
All right, so we have three different scenarios, and the way we separated these were by the years that we knew that we couldn't do all the different urban planning changes and infrastructure improvements in 1 year. So the base year would be consumed by the construction of the roundabout and having all structures and landscaping remain in their original locations. And this is due to the fact that we want people to learn how to navigate the roundabout, and it's going to be an educational time for them. So, example, I would just have wayfinding here as the first step. So, going through these, all of the colors buildings here, those are buildings that are going to stay throughout. And then we have the proposed structures. So, going into the 5th year, we have people are learning how to navigate education, so we feel that we could build up around here. So as Tori talked about, pedestrian areas along this way would be implemented, and one of those 3 options are something different if in the long run those were created. So what we wanted to do is create a loft area, some place that people could live and kind of be like a hot spot for roundabout location. So the Jones School, we planned on taking away from the roundabout for safety reasons, for the kids that go there, and the building, and extend that so that it goes all the way from Crown Street to McMillan. The areas along the gateways here would be buffer areas, gateways with signs so that you've been in Walnut Hills or Uptown. And down at the 3rd year, we have a lot of build up, and what we wanted to do here was create a sense of place in there in the roundabout by having buildings of exaggerated height so that you feel like a sense of security when you're inside the building, or inside the roundabout that way. So
As for the uses within those proposed buildings, because it's 30 years, it's hard to dictate what would be there in 30 years. So we said mixed use, hoping for retail, hoping for residential and office space, any kind of logic. But other than that, are there any questions or comments at this point?